Hello and welcome to a special Christmas edition of Good Brews Blind Views.
Ooh.
I think this is our third Good Brews Bad Views where we are not watching the movie beforehand and going into this completely sort of blind as, well, I would not want to watch this following movie twice. It probably would kill me.
I've heard bad things.
And would probably result in this podcast just like dissolving out of just rage and apathy.
Right.
So we are watching the Star Wars Holiday Special today. I am your host, as always, Max Nestorowicz, joined by my co-hosts, one Ryan Everard,
Yep.
one James Thorpe,
Yep.
and one special guest, Jordan Ferraro, returning to the
Jordan.
show.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey. So, oh boy, everyone knows about this. People have seen scenes from it, but I don't know many people who've actually sat down and watched it from front to back. So we're going to try to do that today. But before, a special seasonal question. What is your guys' favorite Christmas special? Ryan.
Oh no, my favorite Christmas special. I don't know if I have a favorite Christmas special.
That is a lame answer.
Isn't
we're
it
gonna come
though?
back to you.
Yeah, come on back.
What about you, Mr. Thorpe?
Santa Land Diaries by David Sedaris.
Oh Jesus.
Okay. Jordan Ferraro?
I always look back fondly on the Muppets is classic, but I think if I honestly think back to what I remember from my youth, I always look back fondly on like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like claymation
the
one.
Rankin Bass.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those ones are pretty good. And
Mr.
honestly,
Magoo.
the movie The Santa Claus has no business being as good as it is.
The one with Tim Allen?
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
no business being that good of a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So does that qualify as a Christmas special though? That's kind of what I was
No.
unsure of the
No.
confines I was
No.
working in.
My Rudolph one counts.
Okay,
The
yeah.
Rudolph one counts.
Also, the Mr. Magoo one counts too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it is The Year Without a Santa Claus, particularly just because of the Heat Miser Snow Miser scene, which is the perfect representation of me and James's friendship. But yeah, that's always my favorite. Follow up with the Jack Frost one,
Mm-hmm.
only because of the Eastern European overtones. So Ryan, now that we've all bared our souls, what about
Right.
you?
I guess I'm gonna have to just go with the same answer as Jordan, as the old like claymation Christmas specials, because that's all that's really coming to mind for a Christmas thing that is not specifically like its own standalone like kind of movie deal.
Okay.
Like the Santa Claus is one.
Yeah. Well, okay,
Jingle All the Way.
I was going to suggest we do that one soon.
Mm.
But I'll brought it up. So, Christmas episode of a TV show you enjoy, like The Office or Parks and Rec or The Simpsons or something like that.
Yeah, I got a good one.
All right,
Okay.
what you got, Jordan?
There's a 30 Rock did a Christmas episode where Liz and Jack need to exchange gifts, but the limit is $0. And so Liz is fumbling the whole episode. Like she thinks she's gonna like paint him a frog or like write a goofy song, and she ends up calling in a bomb threat to the train station so that the woman who Jack's in love with won't leave town that day. And
Is
Jack,
that Julianne Moore? In that
yes,
episode?
and then Jack tops it by getting her a ride on the motorcycle with a guy from Chips
Right.
by promising him a slot on Dancing with the Stars, which is not on that network. So.
Okay, Ryan, you got to have some. No, nothing.
No,
Okay,
blank
all right.
blank stares over here, man.
We'll go with
Ryan hates Santa.
I do. That's correct.
Okay. Well,
Well,
you're
we've
watching
stalled long
along.
enough.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
the
we're-
Star Wars Holiday Special. This movie's freely available on YouTube, as George Lucas has tried to destroy every copy of it. So it never actually got a home release. The stream we're watching, we're about a minute and 17 in. We're on a CBS special presentation is on the screen. We have just been informed that Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be seen tonight because of this.
Right.
So,
Shame.
Yeah, for anyone who wants to find this stream, in case there's different, because this is taped off TV. There's going to be commercials.
yeah,
and
this
stuff.
is an actual VHS tape of this.
So, in case anyone wants to make sure they watch the same one, the title of the
Yeah.
YouTube video is The Star Wars Holiday Special HD, and then in quotes, the WHIO First Generation 2013 VHS. And the streamer's name is, or the account's name is George Abrams.
Hashtag you're welcome, internet.
Oh boy. So, if you are watching along with us,
Which none of you are
yourself
watching.
up.
Why
some
would
people
you?
are.
Why
I was
would
actually
you?
surprised that some
Not
people
for
do
this
watch
one.
Thank
this.
you and
Well,
bless
never
your
know.
souls.
You never know. If you're watching along, hit play.
Now. All right, opening shot. Millennium Falcon.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Harrison.
Wow.
How the mighty have fallen.
Well, he literally fell in the last movie.
Yeah.
He was in.
He fell out of a plane once, too.
More than once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also kicked a guy out of a plane once.
Yeah.
No ticket.
So yeah.
Did-
So of course, I think it's strong that they open up with probably, some of the most iconic stuff: Star Destroyers, Millennium Falcon, Chewbacca,
Right.
Yeah.
and Han Solo.
But not the actual Millennium Falcon set.
No, this is CBS.
There's only 2 chairs in this Millennium Falcon. This is the
reduced
this
size?
is the no this
True.
is the this is
This
the
is
coupe,
Coach.
the coupe version.
Yeah, this is the compact.
Not the sedan Millennium Falcon.
I like how
It's
you
the
can tell they
Millennium
switched to
Sparrow.
actual movie footage too here.
Oh.
Oh, wow,
I
it's
feel
not
like
even
this
in the
is
same
fine.
I
font.
was just gonna say. Oh,
Oh no.
Oh, mistakes were made. So many already. Okay, that's less bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Star-
This is before his car.
he
accident.
looked like a woman right there.
Yeah.
yeah, you did.
I love you, Mark.
I've never seen like an opening to a special or a TV thing where they do like this voiceover and then show all the actors.
They did this in the old the original trailers for the original trilogy. They had like this kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like he's credited as himself.
Ah,
Meanwhile, Kenny Baker's like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
Roger
person in
Davis,
here.
Sorry. Oh boy.
So,
Oh,
no.
no.
Oh boy.
So that's an interesting way that they introduced Vader there, because I would imagine that nowadays if they were to do something like this, they would introduce James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth
That's what
Vader.
they said.
Right.
No, they said as
Oh.
Darth Vader.
Right, because it's what, Farmer John?
Yeah.
What he was lovingly called, the actual guy in the suit.
Yeah.
I don't remember his full name.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, this list just keeps going.
Viva. She looks
So
like
is
Vivica
this
Fox.
is this just an hour
Wow.
of them listing off people's names?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Yep.
You guys, we are
This is
in for
glimpses
something
of
here.
Things to come.
There's there's a cartoon
there's an
portion?
animated sequence.
This was
Yep.
the introduction of Boba Fett.
This is the
This
introduction.
is his
to Boba
first
Fett.
appearance.
Yes, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh,
Oh,
my
boy.
mind is actually being blown right now.
Yep. Ooh,
Sponsored
by.
by.
who?
Hey,
Ooh,
GM.
Hey, GM.
I'm sure they don't want their name on this.
Oh,
Well, now we clearly see when the when General Motors started failing in the 70s.
Mm.
Yep.
Yep.
Good work, Star Wars.
But put it in reference. This is between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. About a year. So I wonder if this would have done better or was more well received if they would have done more of them. And here we're going to have about a 20-minute sequence with no subtitles and just Wookiees doing Wookiee stuff.
Wookiee life.
So that's Itchy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, his name would be Itchy. They name themselves after things that humans feel and words that humans use.
Yep.
Yes.
Chewy, itchy.
Well, okay. So you bring up a good point, Max. Maybe Itchy is short for something because
Yeah.
Chewbacca is short for Chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
Chewie
Other
is
way
short for
around,
Chewbacca.
Yes, that's what.
Ryan's already drunk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whiskey time.
Yeah, we are not drinking beer today. Ryan, tell us about this whiskey we're drinking because we needed something stronger for
Right.
this.
So we are drinking an Islay rye whiskey from the Grand Traverse Distillery in Traverse City, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful warm beverage, and I like it very much. And I'm also drinking it right now. Okay,
Did you
bye.
pick this up on your recent trips to Traverse City?
Yeah, when I went around hitting all the different breweries and stuff up there. Yep, this is one of the stops. So we
God,
did
that
everything. We
thing's
did.
mouth is horrifying.
Yeah, there's nightmares that are coming out of this. So yeah, when I was up, brewery hopping and distillery hopping.
Yeah, it's weird. Traverse City's known for being like big wine country, but I think it's growing in popularity as far as its whiskey and spirits in general, as well as the numerous breweries up there. Like I have a friend who's going up there this weekend, and a coworker and I told her to stop at Right Brain.
Yeah,
They
Right
make
Brain's
some
a
good
great
stuff.
place. Yeah. Yeah, good beer, good food, good
Mhm.
atmosphere. Speaking of the distilleries, there's another one up there, Northern Latitude. They have Whaleback Rum is one of their
Whaleback rum.
flagships, and I have a bottle of it actually behind us right now, and it is amazing. I'm not normally a rum guy, but it's damn good.
Is it more like a spiced rum or?
Yeah. It's a spiced rum. It's fairly sweet, but not overly so. But it's just tons of character. Super good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm already dead inside.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Just household Wookiee activities.
Yeah, so
They're not different. They're not that different from us.
Yeah,
They're just walking carpets.
the design of these outfits is something else.
Mm-hmm.
Oof,
Wow, that's giving me a headache.
that was
Yeah.
bad.
Um,
Terrible artwork. Come on, guys.
Well, it's weird because up until Star Wars Episode
jump
3?
kid. We all
yeah,
want
go.
End it.
Up until Star Wars
End this
Episode
hellish
3,
facade.
there were no other Wookiees like in the series. There
Mhm.
weren't any like background Wookiees
Right.
or Wookiee sub characters or whatnot. There was just Chewbacca.
Yeah, I just assumed
Yeah,
they
because
reproduced.
famously they were going to use Wookiees for Return of the Jedi, and then he decided to switch it up and use Ewoks instead,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
like shrink them basically.
Yeah.
So you're right. They never really showed up until episode
God.
3,
That's
and I can't remember
awful.
because I haven't seen episode 3 in a while. But did Kashyyyk look like this at all?
Yeah.
Kind of. In this and in the Expanded Universe books, they describe it as being a big forest planet, but they don't live on the ground. They live like up in like
Yeah.
the trees or whatever. Like even in like Knights of the Old Republic, one of the best Star Wars video games, they have a sequence where you have to go down to the surface of the planet and find some MacGuffin or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like all this dark, hostile environment or whatever.
Mhm.
So it kind of looks like this. But in episode 3, it's weird because they're near the water.
Yeah.
So they still have like the same kind of like style of house up in the trees, but
it's a little
you see them go down into the.
It's a little lower to the ground than this.
Yeah,
is.
yeah. You don't get that vertigo feeling when you're looking out looking out the window. So
Jesus.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being the guy that has to store this mask somewhere?
yeah.
Just partial lighting on that would just make me die.
Are those cassette tapes?
Yep.
Space technology.
You got a mixtape. It looks like he's walked like the floor is like putt-putt turf.
It does. Yeah.
This looks like a home from
Dinosaurs?
no, from like Brookstone.
Love
From
that show.
Brookstone.
Does like it looks like if you look around, it looks like they just have a house full of nonsensical Brookstone crap.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I can't get past Itchy. I just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, his wife is the only one that looks relatively like a
A regular
Wookiee-
Wookiee.
a
Yeah, it
regular
looks
Wookiee.
like, they just took Chewbacca's face and made it a little
This just
slimmer.
has the
Yeah.
basically the Imperial insignia on top of that table.
It's that weird checkerboard
Yeah,
thing.
I think it's supposed to be a reference to the chess game.
The chest.
It
yeah.
must be.
Why? I mean,
Was
can you
not prepared
imagine
for
being
this.
like a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old being like, "I'm so excited for this more Star Wars," and
then
this
this
is what you
happens?
get?
Who made
Like
this and thought it was okay? Like to have 30 minutes it's only been like 5, but it
Yeah.
feels like an eternity. Where they're not saying anything, they're just doing chores, and now they're watching Goofy dancing.
Yep. It looks like a green version of the villain, him from Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, it does. That's
This,
funny.
this is where they got the idea for the Teletubbies from.
Clearly.
Oh.
The fuck?
Does that
What a
guy just have like
badass.
Cirque du
leaves for
Soleil in
wieners?
space.
Wiener leaves?
Hmm.
Cirque Dislo Space. Oh, those eyes are
Those dead eyes.
dead eyes. Holy God!
This?
Is he aroused?
Yeah, I think the table might be tipping a little bit over there, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I am.
There's a good Penny Arcade comic about that.
Hmm.
About what?
Yeah, about what exactly?
Yeah, we covered a lot of things in a few sentences
Oh, wait,
there.
I have heard.
About-
There is
oh.
one with Wookiee erections.
about Wookiee wieners.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ugh.
As big as his thigh, man. Knock people's heads off with it.
All being said, that is some impressive acrobatic works. Those actors are doing.
Oh yeah,
That's where the whole budget went.
Yeah.
Training those acrobats.
I mean, I just I can't get over the idea that like poor 10-year-olds had to turn this on and be like,
Right.
no, maybe it'll get better at some point.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, we're watching a Wookiee watch boring TV.
yes.
right.
How is that a good idea?
And
You notice
no.
his
Like it's some
face,
kind of
the hair
tape,
on his
too.
face is trimmed away. You notice that?
Well, and it's okay. So not only is this bad TV, but it's not live. This is a
It looks like
tape
like they
that he
put
put
it in.
in.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna watch
I'm gonna
the
watch
space
the
circus.
Space circus.
Right.
His reactions are of somebody who has seen this for the first time.
Right.
Maybe it is, but you have to think like
Like,
this is.
Oh my god!
They, it's like they grabbed real human teeth to make these masks.
Yeah.
They're horrifying.
Yeah.
I
But you
didn't
think like this is right when like VHSs are becoming a thing and VCRs.
Yeah, I
so,
Mm,
but yeah, I don't know.
How many? Can you watch 8 things at the same time on there?
I don't know.
Apparently so.
Oh boy.
Yeah, boy. If I want to play all the tapes. He's
God
weirdly
damn,
paunchy.
Chewbacca's son is fucking
Yeah.
fat. He's in out of shape.
Yeah, make your kid do some chores, man.
Yeah.
Still no dialogue.
No. no.
Just
Oh God, what is that?
On Earth.
Like
Is
bright
that-
computer.
Is that a virtual quilt?
It is the 70s.
oh, good.
Oh,
They
there's-
speak and read English.
Yeah. As opposed to
Or at
that
least
really
read it.
odd
Yeah,
imperial
the
font.
Galactic Basic or whatever
Oh,
it is.
they
They
use
call it.
Urabesh,
Yeah.
I think they call it. Well, yeah, because A New Hope had English in it on the tractor beam. It said power.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they fixed
yeah.
it. They changed that on the Blu-ray releases.
Hmm.
Yep.
No starships in area. Itchy has scared away all other civilizations with his hideous face.
Yeah.
Sweet Lord.
So, to fill this void, when do you guys first remember seeing Star Wars?
Oh man.
When I was super young.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
here's
look,
Luke.
a human. It's the one and only Mark Hamill, pre-car crash.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So. Lumpy. Yeah, I have an appropriate name for the fat Wookiee child.
Yeah. Why? Who made the shot? Okay, just put these people, these Wookiees in frame and have them just yell for 10 seconds.
Right.
They're not even making discernible Wookiee noises. They're
Right.
just going.
But also, apparently in the Star Wars Holiday Special, Luke Skywalker speaks Wookiee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because only
I
Han
think
can
it's
under-
implied
only
that
Han
he
can
eventually
understand
can
him.
understand some of him, but Han's always he speaks fluent Wookiee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least comprehends it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark's eyes look
picture of
really
a picture.
weird.
Whoa.
Is he?
He's wearing mascara.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, is he wearing mascara,
Yeah, for sure.
eyeliner?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, okay. He doesn't really understand him.
Okay.
It's like old. What's that? Chewie stuck in the well.
Yeah. I also like that he's not quite wearing a rebel uniform right now. He's wearing just the overalls version of the rebel pilot
Yeah,
uniform.
it's the CBS TV version, but also why is he in his flight suit
Yeah.
if he's just dicking around in the garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have made maybe more sense if he was wearing his generic Luke Skywalker white robes.
Mm.
You know that
Yeah.
you see him in. Especially because there's only one movie of oh, this is what he wears.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but going back to when you first saw Star Wars, very very young. Yes, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, for sure.
Yeah, I was really young. My parents, I don't remember how old I was, but they got the box set of the VHSs
Oh, okay.
of 4, 5, and 6,
Mhm.
and I watched those VHSs ragged over and
Mhm,
over again.
mhm.
It was
I can
so good.
I can remember the exact time. It was Thanksgiving, and they used to do a marathon of them, on the Sci-Fi Channel back when the Sci-Fi Channel was actually good.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
right.
turned on during Empire Strikes Back. It was the last 10 minutes. So the first scene of Star Wars I ever saw was the lightsaber fight between Luke and Vader.
Oh, cool.
And that's when I found out, like, oh, he's his father, apparently. I'm like, ooh, that's, weird. And then I saw, the first 20 minutes of Return of the Jedi. So I had no
You were lacking in context
for, like, why are they going after this man in stone and whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Chewbacca, he looks familiar. And, like, I can remember my dad being like, when you see Lando Calrissian for the first time, like, in the palace when he's in disguise, remember my dad saying, like, oh, that was the guy in the last movie, because I'd only saw him for, like, 10 seconds or whatever. But then I remember I had my neighbor tape it for me on TV, and then I watched those ragged until the special edition box set came out.
Nice.
And
This is a hell of a set.
Yep.
So
What?
he looks like a guy I work with, and I love it. Spectacles McGee here, but you guys remember when episodes 4, 5, and 6 got the re-release into theaters?
Yeah, we went
some
and
years
saw that
ago now?
together.
That was fucking great. Like, I had such a good time seeing Star Wars in the theater.
Yeah.
And having grown up, again, running those VHSs into the ground, I was so excited to catch those movies in the theater. It was just so fun.
Yep.
So good. And I really started to appreciate sound design in the theater when I watched those movies. It was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy to have been able to do that.
Wow, look at that. That's some movie magic right there, guys.
Yep. TV
Also,
movie
nothing
magic.
that has to do with Star Wars has happened yet.
Right.
by the way.
No.
Well, I'm sorry. No, we had 15 seconds of Star Wars at the very beginning.
Mhm.
Yep.
Wow, this guy doesn't like Wookiees.
Yeah.
It's racist.
That man's mustache says he's in charge.
His posture does not.
No.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a bored cosplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Whose
waiting for
gun
the,
is
waiting
too
for
heavy
the group
him.
photo.
Yeah.
This guy looks like Space Geppetto. Well, I guess at least we don't have Wookiee boobs or anything weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Please
thinking about
ignore
that.
the
If it would be
Imperial
made
Guard in the
nowadays,
background.
it would be like, we have to make Chewbacca's wife look sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hey, you're running low on red and yellow back
like
there,
she
buddy.
purposely called the Imperial Trading Post, right?
No, that guy runs the trading post, and there happens to be an Imperial guy
Right,
shopping
but no, it called it said the Imperial Trading
Yes,
Post.
it did.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Chewbacca's wife.
Yeah.
Chewbacca, man who helped destroy the Death Star, or Wookiee who helped destroy the Death Star. His wife is calling in, and the guy at the Imperial Trading Post is like, "Oh yeah, we totally know he's on the way, and he'll be there soon." Like, none of that makes sense.
Oh, no. But he was talking about a shaggy carpet she ordered. That's some deep-level code.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Read between the lines,
he'll
man.
be there soon.
My first time seeing Star Wars, I'm not sure. I had I still have a ton of the old 70s and 80s action figures that I got from some cousins. But I think my story is very similar to yours. Like, I was at someone's house and the marathon was playing on TV, and I don't remember, it was so long ago, I don't remember if it was Empire or Jedi, but the first thing I saw was the lightsaber fight. And then, we got the VHSs, the ones with the Leonard Maltin interview in the beginning.
Yep. I still have those.
Yeah, so do I, because it's the only way to own they're not widescreen, but it's the closest thing to the theatrical cut you can get nowadays. So yeah, I held on to mine even though I don't have a VCR. Yeah, it completely changed my life.
Yeah. I was recently visiting home, and my mom packed up all my VHS tapes that I had stored up in my room. Not really. I hadn't made the decision yet. Do I want to keep these because of sentimental reasons or whatnot? So, but I have them now.
Yes.
Oh, that's some
just
bad
dubbing
ADR.
over- that's just
I was
bad-
just gonna
bad
say.
dubbing.
That's just dubbing over an actual movie.
Also, just random other movie factoid. I am in love with the fact that James Earl Jones is reprising his role as Mufasa in the Lion
I'm
King
also
movie.
quite
That's
excited about that.
That movie has
Killer.
a hell of a
Oh,
cast.
it looks awesome. I'm so
It's
excited for it.
A+ for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Donald Glover, Beyonce, James Earl Jones.
Isn't Michael B. Jordan in that too?
I don't
I don't-
think so.
Well, maybe I'm
No,
crossing
he's
that.
in Black Panther.
Black Panther,
Black
yeah. I
Panther.
just saw
But,
the new trailer.
John
Okay, too.
Oliver.
John
Yeah,
Oliver
John
as Zazu
Oliver.
is going to be great.
Yep.
That Black Panther trailer before Thor was
Fucking
so
great, man.
Outstanding.
Hey guys, look, more Wookiees doing chores.
Yeah.
This is what kids like, right?
Yeah.
Just little shits. That's what kids are.
So this had to be that somebody got the rights to this, but didn't have the money to back up making it, right?
I don't
Maybe.
know.
I mean,
Like-
I could look up details right now.
Like
but
somebody
Yeah,
got
but
somebody
I
got a
don't
hold of it,
care
a
that
hold of
much,
the
and I
rights,
like this whiskey.
and
Right.
CBS just didn't want to put any money behind it.
I'd like to know who wrote this and directed it because
You want to put them on crimes and at the
Right.
Hague?
So hold
Yeah.
on. So
For Star Wars crimes?
but also like it's sort of reminiscent of, I mean, not thematically, but just in terms of like this is not something children would be interested in. In that sense, it kind of reminds me of Episode 1 a little bit.
all right. So this whatever is happening here with this woman, it's
It's a man, but
it's like Tim Burton does the Pink Ranger does the Star Wars Christmas special. That's the feeling I get from this.
That's a man in a wig in blackface making raw meat.
looks
Yeah.
more like Trump face.
Yeah,
Oof.
it is more like Trump face.
Mm.
Making a
So this
holiday
is written by 5 people: Paul Proft, Leonard Rips, Bruce Vilanch, Rob Warren, Missy Welch.
Wow.
Oh wow. Sweet Jeebus.
So do you think that at Wookiee restaurants they have to wear just like one giant hairnet?
Just with
This
giant
Yeah.
heads.
It's
Yeah,
a
it
full
looks like
body condom.
Yeah, it looks like a shark suit. You know the chain links?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think Wookiees have like rugs in their house, like actual?
Mm.
No,
Rugs.
they just have skins,
Mm.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going.
just
but-
hides.
Do you
yeah,
think they spin dry out of the shower? They just like sit on something that whirls them in circles?
I don't think they shower.
Oh.
They lick
That's
each other.
gross.
Like
Yeah,
cats.
Ugh.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
They groom each other.
Why are we watching this?
So
What is happening?
so
Save me from this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not just bad; it's boring.
Yeah, the idea here could have actually turned into something funny, I guess. Like the idea of a cooking show with ridiculous ingredients is
Right.
something that you could do, but the bit should be like 15 seconds long.
Yeah, we're minutes into this at this point.
Yeah.
So apparently, Lucas was minimally involved
No,
with this. His
You would-
name's not
you-
even in like
you-
the credits.
You don't say.
Yeah.
So so it's just fly on the wall at House Wookiee the movie so far. Nothing interesting is happening. This is all very just everyday chore stuff.
So this has to be a bit for like adults, right?
Maybe.
With
Yeah.
this actor, because I don't know who this is, but it was somebody that they made big mention of at the beginning. So it's
Yeah,
gotta be
because they
like
went through like 3 or 4
Okay,
different.
Oh, there's an
another
extra arm.
All right. Yeah, it's got to be a sketch comedy artist from like the 70s or 60s or something that everyone's just like, oh look, he's on here. Ha ha ha.
So that would explain the extended screen time then,
Yeah,
right?
that's got to be what's happening
Yeah.
right here.
This is
yeah, and another just like there was no money,
Oh,
so they were
yeah,
like,
this
all
is-
right, we can
so
eat up
this is
10
Harvey
minutes with
Korman.
this.
Yeah.
Best known for sketch comedy and Carol Burnett show and several films.
Mm,
in
that
Belfast.
makes
There we
sense.
go. Yep.
Carol Burnett show. Nice.
Okay.
A precursor to Goro and Kentaro.
Mm-hmm. And the T-1000 upon your like 500th view of T2.
That still blew my mind that the T-1000 has extra arms for like 17 frames of that movie.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh no. So what is that that's on the wall behind Mala? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Is that a window? Is that a painting?
It's a cutting board. Sometimes they
Yeah,
just
you
hold
gotta
up
cut
meat on
against
the
the
wall
wall.
and cut,
Yeah.
and then it drops right onto the plate.
See, as opposed to having magnetic strips where they hang their knives, they have magnetic cutting boards where they just put it up against the wall. And just like,
Hey, look,
Ah,
it's Star
better
Wars
movie.
for a second.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
back in the Millennium Coupe.
Yeah. That apparently fires on its own also. It's just movie footage.
Yeah, that was straight up A New Hope.
Yeah. Holy crap. Like the same movie footage over and over again.
I'm just going to take a brief moment to honor the Rogue One movie for all of its incredibleness and end of honoring. That's all.
Yep.
It was so good.
Well, that brings up something else I kind of wanted to talk about to fill this gaping void of an hour and a half.
Ugh.
So we've gotten 2 movies of the new movies, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 2 more on the way.
Yeah.
One will be coming out probably, I think.
Well, we got more than
You got
2
more than
coming.
2.
Well, 2 coming out in the immediate, 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of them so far?
So I thought
it's
The Force Awakens did exactly what it had to do. It got people interested and optimistic about Star Wars movies again.
Okay.
I think...
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Like a prune with hair on it.
Mind is reeling.
What?
This is not a test.
Oh, no.
We're just
It's like
watching
discount
Wookiees
Grandma
watching TV. Oh, boy.
I like that background.
I was
going to
say, what's going on back
He's
there?
in front of the Hal Eye from 2001.
Oh,
Or he's taking a school picture.
that's the joke I was going to make.
Yeah.
It just needs the lasers.
Yeah.
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 No, I thought The Force Awakens was good. It did what it had to do. It hit a lot of the same beats as A New Hope, but that's a common criticism.
Mhm.
I think using Luke as the MacGuffin was probably a good idea because that's a character that is important to a lot of people, and it may have kind of taken over every scene he was in if they had used him more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested to see The Last Jedi. I've been trying to avoid hype sort of unsuccessfully. I've still seen the trailers. But they look like they're edited in a way to sort of...
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of misdirection happening, I
Yeah.
think. So I don't feel like anything's been spoiled yet.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it. As for Rogue One, considering the supposed hell it went through in development and all the reshoots and script rewrites and stuff like that, I thought it was a pretty good movie. It felt like Star Wars because it had that same visual imagery as the original trilogy, so that helped.
Yeah, I rank Rogue One as one of the best 3 of them. One of the best. It is in my top 3 of Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I thought it was
Particularly
solid.
because of the visual style. That's one of my biggest beefs with the prequel trilogy is the technology is way advanced.
Yeah, it has this very pristine,
It's very
polished
pristine,
look.
everything polished. Like, CGI was, well in its prime. They're like, look at all the crazy, holograms and touchscreens and such. It's like... And you could argue that, okay, the rebels are on the run. They could only afford, these analog computers and stuff like that. But it just... The thing about Rogue One that I enjoyed is it looks like it takes place
in the Star Wars
universe per A New Hope.
Yeah,
Everyone's got
'cause
70s porn stashes. All the technology is very antiquated.
and
by
everything's
today's
dirty.
standards.
Everything's
Everything's
dirty
dirty.
and
Yeah.
used.
Right.
It's
Well,
lived in.
And I think the style for the prequels makes sense in the idea that it's supposed to be like the Republic and everything was happy and good and wonderful.
Yeah.
But the timeline doesn't make sense.
No.
You can have those things, right? You can have this great civilization prior that the Empire overthrows and
Subjugates.
it subjugates, and all of a sudden you have this dirty, bad location or just universe, but it's not going to happen in 18 years.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of that comes from, and I mean the CGI doesn't stand up to time and everything.
It's
else.
real bad. I
It's
actually
really-
watched all 3 just recently.
It's really rough, but I will not defend them, but I understand what they were trying to do. Like the Republic was supposed to be this
Gleaming-
shining beacon of
yeah.
what humanity and what the universe could be. So
Yeah.
making it cleaner and more technology driven, and being like Star Wars is the dark ages of everything, and that's supposed to be the Roman Republic of
Absolutely.
marble and everything. It makes sense, but not from a timeline perspective. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Incidentally, this guy just had plugged in a chair-sized kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's just sharper image stuff.
I agree with you, and looking back, you can at least appreciate the prequel trilogy for pushing effects work
Yeah.
into places it had never been.
For sure.
Where they really fall short is when they're in outdoor scenes, especially in places that are supposed to be rough and tumble and dirty, and it still has that same pristine plastic look. Everything's in focus. everything is smooth. That's where
Yeah,
that's where they really fall short.
I was actually going to use the same word, plastic looking, which is a big problem. I know. So effects when the prequel trilogy came out, for me, it felt like oftentimes in those movies they overly used the CGI just because they could.
Well, here's the thing,
not because the end result was what they wanted it to be.
Lucas was lazy, and he wanted to
Well,
direct
yeah,
from a chair.
yeah.
No,
He wanted to direct from a chair.
They had a lot of weather problems when shooting episode 1 for like the desert scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because of that, they probably moved towards less like location shootings and more to being like, oh, we can just do this on a soundstage and CGI it or overlay with footage from,
well, that's why.
scouting shots.
Yeah, that's why.
Is
That's
this
why
just
every
space porn.
pretty much,
Yes.
yeah. That's why pretty much every shot in 2 and 3, especially, is 2 people walking
Right.
slowly. Then they stop. They do
Something.
A
Some
camera,
sort of-
A
some sort
camera,
of dramatic
B
discussion.
camera, over the shoulder dialogue, and then they continue to walk.
Are we
And
watching a
that's
Wookiee
every,
fap
that's
right now?
every scene. That's almost every scene of dialogue. There's no action. There's no immediacy. There's no work for the actors. It's literally just walk, A, B, finish walking, new scene.
Dramatic John Williams
Is he-
transition.
Right.
Yeah.
Is he getting incepted?
He's getting a
Like,
space.
He can't get out of this. He's trying to exit.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
kind of at
This
a
is
disadvantage
really
here.
porny and
Yeah,
creepy.
so-
What is going on?
For watching this on YouTube, we don't have captions, so we're kind of handicapped with understanding maybe some more of
think
this.
about this.
There
Ryan.
isn't any
There
understanding.
wasn't any captions where people watching this when it aired on November 15th, 1978.
I never implied that there were.
I'm going to continue to go back to this.
Who is this for?
Yeah, imagine young you. Max's question: when did you first see Star Wars? Literally,
God.
imagine a year after you saw Star
Right.
Wars.
So-
The year after a new Star Wars comes out.
Right. So, to answer your question, James, if you're a kid who has seen Star Wars and is trying to sit through this, I have completely detached from this movie and I'm playing with my Star Wars toys, and this means nothing to me.
That's gotta. I mean that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on the carpet in front of the TV playing with my toys while my parents
I
are
feel like-
looking at this wondering what the fuck is going on.
I feel like
Yeah.
this scene is for horny high 30-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's probably accurate.
Like if you had a jazz cigarette and then watched this right now, you might be kind of like, all right, I could deal with this.
Yep.
But who is this for? No kid. They fast forwarded through this if they had the tape. If they taped it, they fast forwarded every time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's not even like if they're trying to do the whole Life Day thing, which is like Wookiee Christmas.
Yeah.
Like none of this has to do with any of Life Day. Also, like it's got to be a cost thing that they did a lot of this around. It really has to be. And a whole, hey, we'll bring on our sketch comedy folks and like get mom and dad in the room and they'll be excited. Like I can see how this gets made.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand how it got allowed to air.
What are the odds that the Star Wars license was the last addition to this thing?
I don't think so.
No, it was probably the first.
Yeah,
You think so?
I really think they got a hold of the Star Wars license and then we're like, hey, we can do a Star Wars Christmas special. And they got in the boardroom and it was probably like, okay, cool. Here's like $10,000. Have fun.
Yeah. So
Like
I
a
think
really-
I think it could also be that they had the idea to do a Christmas special and thought, okay, we'll do some funny sketch comedy cooking bit. We'll have a lady sing, and they had it put together. And then someone was like, hey, let's get the rights to Star Wars, and then they just mashed it all together.
But all of these pieces don't flow together.
No,
I could see that if like these bits kind of flowed, and it was every time they cut to the Wookiees, it was like, what the hell are these Wookiees doing here? But we have what the hell are these Wookiees doing, and what the hell are all these bits?
Yeah.
right.
So this is This Minute Now, sung by one Diane Carroll, who is in this virtual reality machine and apparently is telling Chewbacca's father, Itchy, that she is his fantasy, quote unquote, and suggestively is inviting him to experience her, quote unquote.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yes,
it's space porn.
space VR porn,
yeah. So
which is a thing now.
why?
In,
Yeah, they
in
have
the
that now.
2017.
They have VR porn now.
It's quite immersive.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. No problem.
So
Not
so-
protection I
So
had
jumping back to episode 1, I want to get back in on that discussion a little bit. There's been a I have this opinion, and I know Jordan, you despise that movie, and rightfully so. It's a very bad movie. However, there is a scene in that movie that I think holds up even today, and that's the pod racing sequence.
Oh yeah, like I'm trying to think
the
like
pod
what's
racing
the,
scene's
that
fun.
is a fantastic sequence.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. So the pod racing scene, I agree, is one instance where the original prequels do something that the originals, 4, 5, and 6 did well. They introduced this new concept, this new thing that makes sense in the universe, but is super fun and visceral to watch. And it's really engaging and very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm. This is starting to get scary now.
Yeah. I'm losing my shit over here.
If you had a jazz cigarette before watching it and were enjoying it, now you're not.
It's like I'm watching an Of Montreal music video.
Oh, God.
So one of the things that I appreciate about the pod racing sequence, too, is that if you think about the first... You think about the first trilogy, it's very serious through most of that movie.
It is, right.
And that is the first time that pod racing sequence gives you an idea of like something that other people are doing inside of the Star Wars universe, where they're just like bored. And they're like,
yeah,
you know what
they're
we're
not
gonna
fighting the Empire.
We're going to strap some engines onto things and just
Hey, it's Princess Leia.
drive around.
And sometimes people explode.
Yes.
Yep.
It fits in there so well.
Right.
It holds up. It's exciting.
She doing her taxes? What is she doing?
Taxes.
That would fit with this.
Yeah. And it helps that it's on a planet we know, so it's the environments we've seen before. We have a frame of reference. There's a little cameo of Jabba the Hutt and Bib Fortuna and such, and that is one of the better sequences of that movie. There's a version of that movie that was a fan edit called the Phantom Edit that removes a lot of the jokier aspects of that film, or some of the things that don't fit, like the protocol droids or the battle droids no longer talk. They just kind of like gesture. Because it's like, why do they need to talk?
Right.
And it cuts out the when they're the subsequence when they're like, oh, giant squid monsters and whatnot. They just like they get there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Star Wars thing, it's not like, whoa, we're going from A to B and here's the journey. It's just like we're going to A to B and we get there. They don't often show like, here's the tribulations we faced on getting to the place or whatever.
That's why Lightspeed is convenient, not only from a
narrative
setting perspective, but also just from a movie making perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
It cuts out a lot of Jar Jar, doesn't it?
It cuts a lot of Jar Jar's humor out. It cuts out like Anakin going like yippee and just a lot of like the annoying child actor stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I can't fault that kid for.
Oh yeah.
No.
It's not on him. None of it.
And I still remember the Phantom Menace poster that got me so excited for that when it was Anakin with
the shadow.
of Darth
That's a
Vader.
cool.
That is very cool.
That was
It was
one of
cooler
the
than
first
anything the movie
posters
did.
Yeah.
Like that was a hype thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you knew that was the eventual end game.
Yep.
So
And we talked through the Carrie Fisher sequence, but I think Carrie Fisher said those words in that whole sequence. Was that it? I didn't see her speak the rest of the time. It was just whoever that 70s actor was and C-3PO.
Oh, that's CBS Wookiee.
it looks it's Peter Mayhew, and it looks like the actual Chewbacca costume.
So-
It's
Just
the grain of the film is
and the
terrible.
end and the lighting is bad.
And more. Yep. That's. Anyway, have you guys seen the most recent Star Wars trailer?
Last Jedi.
Nope.
Yeah.
I plugged both
did.
my ears and did the la la during Thor the other day. So
So-
no, I did not see it.
There's a sequence. My question to you, Max. When they show Chewbacca and the Porg in that sequence,
Yeah.
is that CGI? He looks CGI in that shot to me.
Oh, of Chewbacca. I haven't paid attention close enough to him.
If you see it again,
I saw
look at it. He looks CGI.
really polished.
Here's my thinking.
in Force Awakens, so I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I think there's some. I think it's Peter Mayhew in a suit. I think the suit, for one, has more blonde in it than the old Wookiee suit did, and I do think that there's CGI touch-ups on the face, on the mouth.
I think so too.
Especially the mouth.
To make
I
it more
thought that
expressive, yeah.
in the Force Awakens, and I think so for this trailer too.
Yeah.
It looks like a guy in a suit, but the face and especially the mouth looks like there's some CGI work happening.
It's not just the mouth; it's all of the
jawline.
Yeah.
the jawline
Yeah.
right underneath it. It looks too shiny.
Here we have the introduction of the space Nazis. The ever iconic stormtroopers. So here we get more of like the touches of like.
We actually haven't had commercials. We thought there were going to be
No,
commercials.
this apparent version of it has the commercials edited out.
Thank
but
God.
a lot of the bootlegs that were floating around the internet for a long time had the commercials left in.
Mm-hmm.
because they were straight up like VHS.
Yeah.
rips.
Yeah, all we had were we actually skipped it before we started recording, but there was the opening commercial for some of the toys.
Yeah.
And then please excuse the Wonder Woman and Hulk episodes not being on tonight kind of thing.
Yeah.
What a ripoff.
So
Yeah, no kidding.
Good lord.
yeah.
I would
so,
rather watch Linda Carter and fucking Lou Ferrigno anytime.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
He's the
May I
rebel
have some-
hunter.
May I have
Yeah.
some milk?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Wouldn't you say that before you went into the room?
I really hope we get a very awkward scene of him checking the gender of all the Wookiees.
Ugh. What are you doing? I know this is so just like we are space fascists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your papers, please.
Well, this is weird because even in like the first series of movies, you never see the Imperials interact with like normal citizens
With
of
humans?
No.
Normal
yeah, it's always
plebs?
just like, oh, you rebel scum.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing you get is like a couple of stormtroopers knocking on doors.
Mm.
Yeah.
Knocking on doors.
But no, Ryan, I can understand you not wanting to watch trailers, or people just not wanting to watch trailers in general. But I've come to understand that you cannot judge a movie by its trailer, especially in 2017.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
cool. I mean, some reveal a lot, some not. But
Batman
for example,
v Superman.
right.
yeah,
revealed a
well,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for example, Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner 2049 was a lot of like, look at these visuals. You know next to nothing about the plot of that movie based off of those trailers. Mind you, saying what that plot of the movie is would have been a huge spoiler.
Yeah.
I mean, so I avoid trailers. I like to try to, because a trailer for me, I'm able to piece together a lot of a movie as far as what I can expect from the camera work, the effects, the tone, and the cadence of it, that I would rather just experience for the first time when I sit down at the theater.
Sure.
It's not even so much plot based. It's just the overall experience of seeing that movie for the first time is something that I love, and I don't want to have that, uncorked too soon for me.
Mm-hmm. Particularly how I feel that about the newest Last Jedi trailer, or the one that most recently came out. The way it's edited, it makes the viewer assume
They're playing with you is what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, okay, yeah, this shot is followed by this shot, but I'm like, I don't think that's from the exact same. That's not even from the similar sequence. Is what
I think there's a lot. They're trying to set it up to look like Rey is gonna turn, and maybe it will. Maybe she will.
Ryan, stop listening.
But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't think that is the case. That's my gut feeling is that it won't. I'm really interested to see where it goes though, because I mean, I think we've all heard the stuff Mark Hamill has said about the direction the script went, that he disagreed with where it went.
Yeah.
But I also know that he had always, back in the day, had thought it would be cool if Luke went to the dark side. So maybe he thinks, well, he should have gone to the dark side, and he doesn't in the movie. I have no idea. All I know is I'm excited to see Luke Skywalker on the screen again, and I appreciate his voice work, because as a voice actor, we all know he's really talented.
Yeah.
And he's very clearly doing his voice as a young man. What the fuck is this?
This is, I think, Jefferson Airplane.
Is this more space porn?
Probably.
No,
it's movie.
space music video.
It's space music video time.
Were they Jefferson Starship at this point?
I think so.
I think so.
That would be more fitting.
So the
Oh my
space
God,
Nazis
you guys.
walked in and were like, "Where's the fourth Wookiee?" Everyone just kind of didn't give an answer, and then the traitor guy was like, "Hey, why don't you sit down and play with her?"
Yeah, why don't you watch some music videos for a while?
And they were just like, "Okay."
Okay.
I mean, even the moment when Star Wars happens to intrude on the Star Wars Christmas special, they immediately cut to something that isn't Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh, get this Star Wars out of here. That's not what people want.
We need this band with the name Starship in the
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I feel like we're going back to actually The Force Awakens, like Jordan was saying. I think The Force Awakens has great characters, great
Agreed.
new characters,
Absolutely.
great ways to get a whole new generation into it. Young people of color, girls. as well as having all the old characters that we enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
speaking to what you just said about girls, like how cool was it to see like how many little girls dressed up as Rey for Halloween?
That's so awesome.
That next Halloween, like that was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
it was just recently Halloween. I had an 11.
Nice.
She was maybe 8.
Yeah,
That's
that's
so cool.
cool. That's awesome.
That was super cool.
You're seeing a lot of Wonder Woman now, a
Mhm.
lot of 11, Rey, and now what's her name? Jin, also a little bit from
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
I'm,
So, like, I
I'm
think
really digging all
great,
that stuff.
great characters. John Boyega did great. Daisy Ray, great.
Daisy Ridley.
Ridley. Sorry, Daisy
Yeah.
Ridley, great.
Oscar Isaac.
Adam Driver.
Oscar Isaac, yeah. There's the whole like, is Oscar Isaac gay or not? Like people have kind of people have gotten
like,
that feeling
like
from his
Poe the character. you
Poe,
mean?
yeah. His character
Yeah, that's the thing is are Finn and Poe BFFs because they bonded, or is there something brewing there? Could be interesting to see where they go with that.
And like a lot
They're
of that,
totally
just
bros.
like how do you portray male friendship or companionship? Because a lot of the times where it's like whenever there's a man and another man who show like not a deep affection, but like a connection of bonding, there's always like, they're together or whatnot, or people start shipping that. Which nothing wrong with people wanting that, or but at the same time, it's like I want to see people being able to have that expressive kind of on-screen relationship without it being a sexual way.
As important as it is to have good role models that are, queer or whatever, it's also equally important to show that it's okay to be emotional as a straight man and not be threatened in your masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it'd be interesting. I don't have any interest in either way they go with it. Whatever serves the story better and whatever serves the characters better is going to make for a better movie.
Mm-hmm. Also, side note, we are recording this podcast stacked on top of each other's laps. Just FYI.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Pants off because it's hot down here.
Right. It's a little warm. It's a little warm.
Fix your heater, Ryan.
So again, this is for children.
Yeah. So that was.
Maybe kids are into Jefferson Starship.
Nope.
No one is into this.
No one's into Jefferson Starship.
He's singing into a pink dildo this whole time.
Even that guy looks bored.
Yeah, he's wondering why he's here.
There was a shot where you couldn't see like the lighting over effect. It looked like he was holding onto like a 1/4-inch PVC pipe.
Oh boy,
I'm running out of whiskey. So real quick, just to go back to the sexuality discussion we just had, I watched Brokeback Mountain a few years ago, and if you guys haven't seen it, it's an excellent movie. So
it's really good.
It was great for me because it challenges the idea, the traditional ideas of masculinity versus sexuality, where like Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger are these just very traditionally hyper masculine characters. Yeah. But they're gay and they're in love with each other, which is obviously fine. But it was actually a great movie. So Ang Lee did an excellent job in that film.
Yeah. Doesn't Hopper play one of their side pieces?
That's a great question, and I don't know. If David Harbour is in that movie, that's going to be great.
Harbour is in that movie.
I just started following him on Twitter, and he is great. David Harbour is awesome.
He's amazing in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And I cannot think of Hopper now without thinking of Do the Hopper.
Right.
That fucking dance.
Yeah, good work, Dave.
Yep.
Okay, so
got
this
3 episodes left of that show, so but I've heard about the dance.
So this fucking music video thing is still going.
You should have seen the dance by now.
Yeah.
The dance is
very.
It's in the let's make a cabin sequence.
Oh, okay.
He just puts some music. It's not like a spoiler or anything.
No.
When they're cleaning up that cabin.
Oh
they live in.
yeah. When they're like, oh yeah, my old grandpa's place.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, all right, guys. Now that we've wasted the audience's time a lot,
Back to Nazis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. We all know they're supposed to be space Nazis, but in none of in the movies, not a single movie has them really be like the pseudo German accent this guy has.
Yeah, they're all British.
It's all sort of like anyone with a British accent is sort of like tied to like the old republic and the empire that replaced it, and anyone with an American accent is like a rebel. That's kind of where they ended up going in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, it's
but
kind
never
of like how you
like the heavy quasi Germanic accent like this.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how like the Roman Empire is always portrayed in like old like Sword and Sandals films.
Yeah.
Like whoever's like the senators or Caesar or whatever always has like an English accent.
Yeah, well, British
Yeah.
British
They're
accent
high-
is it's movie
high
shorthand
society.
for aristocracy.
Yeah.
It's martial law. They would have just, taken care of business at this point, I'd imagine.
You guys were only like halfway through this.
This is terrible.
Are you kidding me?
So do you think they cast this guy just because he has a scar?
Yes.
I'm not entirely convinced that's a real scar.
Oh, God! No teeth.
That
Too much
face
teeth.
looks like the Bob Odenkirk. He does the movies with the thumbs, like Bat Thumb and all that.
Yeah.
That's what it looked
Yeah.
like.
Thumb Wars.
Yeah. Man, I am almost out of whiskey, and there's a part of me that wants to ask James to go get more for me since he's at the end of the thing here.
He's gonna
That's a
stand
head shake
up.
that I
He's
understand.
gonna stand up, walk over to the table, and bring the bottle upstairs and come back.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm just gonna.
Was that Simon? Was that Space Simon?
I think so.
Thought it was.
Hey, look!
Beep, boop,
They
boop,
actually
beep.
showing like Star Wars symbols there. I'm all about that.
This is where they came from, huh?
Oh,
Oh
God.
gosh.
Oh no.
Oh boy. So this
Well,
is
I
the
mean-
animated sequence. Oof.
You know, I'm going to be honest. This is already visually a lot more entertaining than the rest of the movie.
This is very
70s.
70s European
Oh my
comics.
God!
Look at Luke's face. Oh my God. Look at 3PO.
This is the best part so far.
He's a light bulb with eyes.
Why isn't the whole thing?
What is
Way
happening?
better.
This is like if you bought a Star Wars knockoff comic in Russia.
Right.
This is
Oh my
oh
God!
my lord.
So many lines.
This is just no. This is just. Is someone dying back there?
What?
Oh no, he's upside down. Okay.
Dr. Robotnik?
Like how his mustache goes into his hair.
This is Jed Borogovsky's Star Wars.
Jodorowsky?
Jodorowsky, Star Wars. This
Yeah,
is
this
it.
looks like Mobius.
Yeah,
drew it.
Mobius drew this. I want more of this. Yes, more.
More.
This is animated in the same style as the ambiguously gay duo from Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah.
This is great. That wasn't her asking. That was her being like, "You're going to take this robot." Or I'm
Yeah.
gonna kill
So
you."
I guess this
a
is
general.
interesting because in the real world, quote unquote, of Star Wars, Chewbacca's son is watching a Star Wars cartoon
Yeah.
featuring real people who apparently provided their own voice work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, this is the whole of like,
This
they have no budget.
Is
Do this, like, an
amazing.
actual live shot of like new planets and stuff like this.
Oh my God.
So they had to do
We can
animated
just have this
animation.
12 frame per second animation.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I'm watching heavy metal.
Oh,
Why
jeez,
did-
heavy
what?
metal.
Just
What?
Heavy metal or heavy metal 2000?
Heavy metal, not heavy metal
Alright.
2000.
It's
There's
a
no CGI.
planet made entirely of raspberry jam,
Yeah.
which actually
Lone
sounds delicious.
Star.
Wait, what? Why is? Who's that guy?
That's Admiral Akbar.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but this has been moderately redeeming.
Yep.
So good.
We made it through the worst part.
Why
On a
is
planet
that
of
a
ketchup.
thing?
A planet of ketchup. Oh my God, my dreams do come true.
Why is Luke flying a Y-wing? He has an X-wing.
What?
He is a passenger. X-Wing's one person.
Well, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's
I
true.
didn't realize he was bringing 3PO.
Hey, you two, have you ever animated anything before? No. All right, well, fine, you're in.
Yeah.
Draw Star Wars.
Look at the perspective on this.
Yeah.
What?
Pete's Dragon?
This really looks like a Mobius cartoon. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is super French.
Yeah. I love this style. It's ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Sure.
Eh!
Whoa. Oh.
This is first viewing of Boba Fett.
All right. So, given that, I didn't realize that. Given that, Boba Fett styling makes so much more sense with now that it falls.
That this
into
is the first
This is the
appearance?
first
Yeah.
appearance for it.
Yeah. The only reason I know that is way back in the day at FYE, going back to
FYE.
yeah, again,
Oh,
going
wow.
back to the FYE.
For your entertainment.
Yep, there was this book called The Star Wars Essential Guide to the Characters.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It had like on the cover were a lot of the people you knew, but a whole bunch of people you didn't.
Yep.
And it was basically like Wikipedia. Like,
Yep.
oh, here's Luke Skywalker. He is this tall. He first appeared this. here's the story of him in the movies, and here's the story of him after the movies. So this was well into 6 or 7 years of extended universe novels.
It was also prequel
episode
trilogy.
1.
Yep.
So there was a lot of stuff in there that either was very ambiguous because it was like you can't touch this part of the timeline, or just ended up being flat out wrong.
Well, it was all then retconned.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, here's what C-3PO and R2-D2 were doing after or before the first movies, like the hijinks they got involved with.
And it's like, nope.
Yeah,
none of that.
Of course, all of that got wiped away, but Boba Fett's first appearance was Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yep.
I'm like, what is that?
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been trying to track down my copy of that. It had a blue cover.
Yep, I
And-
still have mine.
What?
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Why does Chewie look super high?
It probably is.
He looks like a Shih Tzu with legs.
I would love to borrow that
Human
from you.
legs.
'Cause I've
Yeah.
been trying to track mine down to see what kind of stuff they ended up retconning out of it, and I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And the newer version of that book is post prequel. It's been changed.
Because they have like Anakin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He looks-
but
He looks like a Dr. Seuss creature.
He does.
He looks like a who.
I wish the whole thing was this.
I like how R2 can like.
Why is he all
bend.
wibbly?
He's
So-
all-
If I'm going to pause the question to you guys. Wow, Chewie's got a...
Check that Wookiee butt out.
Yeah.
no, we're
Wow.
just
I mean,
admiring
his
the-
voice is still cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So question to you guys: if the whole of the Christmas special was animated like this,
I'd watch it.
not saying like it was the actual plot, but they went ahead and made some like ridiculous adventure like they're having right now as the
Yeah.
Christmas special.
Yes. If this
It'd be a
segment was
classic.
expanded
Was
into
expanded.
like an
Right.
hour or something,
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
I think it would be people would watch it just for how surreal it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have
This
a
is
cult
so
following
in
instead
call.
of being universally panned.
Yep.
But this is pre-in-call, which that's Jodorowsky's and Mobius's not Dune
Yeah.
comic, which the style it's
This-
so bright. Like
This-
also like the coloring in here is unlike anything you see today as far as animation. Everything's
Yeah.
so bright. There's purples.
Yeah.
Like not in places you'd expect them. A lot of pink.
Like that. Holy crap! The
This is-
double-headed guy. This is just a Mobius cartoon.
This is also interesting in terms of like, I mean, obviously I don't know where this little segment is going plot wise. Maybe
Right.
it won't end up this way, but it's interesting to have Boba Fett's first appearance. He's like cooperating and helping Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nope. There it is.
Nope.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, don't do this. Go back.
What?
But also, like, this is just a cartoon. It's not real. Like, it's not something that happened. He's just watching a cartoon.
I'm so unsettled.
No, go
bring
back.
us back. Bring
It's
it
not.
back.
It's not a historical account.
Or was that all supposed to be?
I thought their work was done, so they left.
Or was that all supposed to be real, like actual part of the special? But they thought that if they just drew it all, no one would notice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Is that what's going on? Go back. Yes.
Yes.
Yay.
No, he's just straight up watching TV, and there's C-3PO vacuuming Luke Skywalker.
C-3PO's legs look like the legs from the aliens from Contact.
Good work, R2-D2. You're a valuable asset to the Empire.
Yeah. But next time they
R2-D2
show the
the Sith Lord.
Stormtrooper helmets, they are weird.
Yeah, they're weird. Yeah, they're weirdly shaped. It's kind of like you were given like one or two images of like, here's what the characters look like, and then
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
the white-faced guy on the ground that was just there, he looked like the stretchy-faced versions of the husband and wife in fucking Beetlejuice.
oh,
When they're like,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna scare these people.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the entry of Boba Fett then was a much different thing for children who saw this, right?
Yeah.
Like, like Empire came
Yeah.
out and it was like, hey, it's that guy, as
Yeah.
opposed to us who's like,
This
who's
is-
that guy?
Yeah. So, but like, yeah, this is like the one thing that carries over is the introduction of Boba Fett.
Who's blue in this?
That
He's Boba Fett.
That-
Oh my God! What?
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 That's awesome.
He's that's like Bruce Campbell as Han Solo.
No, it's
How?
honestly he kind of looks like Adam Driver.
He looks like
He does.
Boomhauer.
Why?
That's who he looks like.
No, you've
Or
all got it
Adrian
wrong.
Brody?
Why doesn't he look like a human?
I like that you can see C-3PO's like neck,
Inner body.
the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. This is like if someone sat down and gave me $5 and told me to draw Star Wars characters.
I love the art style though,
Yep.
for the
Yeah.
colors and the city and everything.
It feels like you're looking at the comic section of a newspaper almost.
It looks like a 70s children's book.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, have you guys ever seen what the old Marvel Star Wars comics from the 70s looked
Yeah,
like?
they kind
Yeah.
of.
They were pretty
Oh
nuts.
my god.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh look, he actually does have eyes. So
Just
apparently he
squinty.
just chooses to. Oh my
Oh,
god.
Keep them closed. Closed. Eyes closed, mouth open.
That's just
That was surreal.
no, don't sign off. Or
Mm.
oh,
One of those symbols was just pig snout.
So is this supposed to be a historical record, or is it just a fictional cartoon? And that's how Boba Fett's entry to the.
I don't know. It has to be real, right?
Yeah.
Like they fought on Jelly Planet,
Mm.
and Luke just left a Y-wing there.
Cachupia?
Yep.
Which after watching Rogue One, we learned why the Rebel fleet was so small.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very good. They like that. They
So
established
presumably Luke just lost like a fifth of their fleet.
that.
Right? It's a bantha.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
that's a cool thing.
yeah.
Stuffed bantha.
That would have been a good like
Oh.
toy.
Not the.
It wasn't a toy, it was just the pet, the family pet. He just fucking murdered it.
I've
no
destroyed the
secret-
child's
Also,
joy.
this is like inner like total Star Wars nerd like inside baseball, but like they keep using the guys with the big black helmets as to be
gunners?
like officers, but those
Yeah.
are like Death Star gunners.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the easiest costume to adapt to fit multiple people, is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be what it was. So, is it just old television, or did they not use the same color for this Imperial officer
I think
uniform?
it's
I think
just
it's old
old
television.
Okay.
Kind of like how like in Star Trek, the color of Captain Kirk, like what color is Captain Kirk's shirt in Star Trek?
Gold.
It looks
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah, but
But it was actually like avocado green.
yeah.
But on
What?
film, after time and aging, it shows up gold.
Huh. Like the inside of an avocado green?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Jesus Christ.
Is that a very, very
It
discount
just sort of-
Clancy Brown?
It just sort of yellows on the film.
We find ourselves often hoping that Clancy Brown shows up in more of our movies,
Yeah.
apparently.
so.
They broke the toy and then told him to go upstairs to clean his room so they could see how sad he was about the toy being broken.
Right.
Which is, I mean,
They're evil.
that's a really Nazi move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Clean this mess up.
Yeah.
That should keep him busy for a while.
They really should just go for it and have Mala rip the arms off of the Imperial officer and then
Right.
use his like femur as the bone that goes
The bone, the guy's neck from sudden death.
attached back on again.
Oh.
Yeah, because when he pulls the head off, you can clearly
Yeah,
see
there's
there's
like
a
a peg.
pipe in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong bone, by
So
the way.
now do we get to
Hold on.
now do we get to watch
20
him
minutes
put
of
the toy
a child
together for
cleaning his
20
room?
minutes?
If it was
Jesus
animated, it'd be better.
Christ.
Yeah, it would be better.
Okay, so question:
So,
if they kept the same style of that hideous itchy Wookiee,
Mm-hmm.
but it was done in the animation style, would you forgive it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything else, it seems to fit into that. The proportions are exaggerated.
It's
Okay.
everything's a little bit deformed and yeah.
Okay. Is she just watching infomercials now?
Yes.
this
yes.
kid's got some
No,
problems.
she's watching a Recall.
That's a kid. That's not
the
a
kid.
wife. That's the kid watching Recall video.
Recall it?
Yeah, thank
What?
go.
It's a user's manual, apparently.
Who is this for? Seriously, like who watched? Who first of all, who greenlit this, and then who watched this final product and was like, "Yeah, fuck it, put it on air."
Yeah, let's show this to millions of people.
Jesus.
The people at CBS.
Hmm. This guy's all right. Yep.
Now we're into a
We just
Monty
watched.
Python sketch.
Yeah. The Ministry of Silly Butt Pats. Apparently.
This is the same guy who did the
Cooking.
cookie show sketch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why we're
Sketch
here.
comic,
This,
yeah.
this that's why we're here.
He has like 3 or 4 different roles.
Is that fish?
No, apparently it's
Weird.
screwdrivers.
Okay, just for some context, we're watching a movie of someone watching a commercial about Ziploc bags.
It's not even it's a weird digital user's manual. It's a how-to video. You're watching a YouTube video of a YouTube video.
No, yeah, we're watching someone else watch a YouTube video for how to. And this is how you end your life.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, what?
I think it was which way to go to the screwdriver.
Is he a robot? Like that's
Maybe,
the joke
'cause he
right
keeps,
here,
like,
right?
He keeps
Yeah,
like
the
stuttering
twitching.
and such.
Yeah. Okay, he's a
At
robot.
first I thought it was the
Or he's super high too.
Yeah.
At first I thought it was the
It
film.
is the 70s.
You know what? That's the answer to every question we've asked. Drugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how this got made. That's how it was okay to put on air.
I just now like before I was bored, and now I'm just sad.
I'm irritated.
The
Yeah.
cartoon is
No,
over.
'cause
I'm annoyed.
we've been lassoed into 5 minutes of this guy really being nowhere near as funny as he fucking thinks he is.
Yeah.
Well, to speak to that for a minute, it's probably only been about 1 minute, but it feels like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is some weird time dilation nonsense
How
because of how bad this is.
how much time is left in this?
So much time. We probably got at least another 20
20,
minutes.
30 minutes.
This is why it's so. This is why everyone says the Star Wars holiday special is so bad because there's no Star Wars in it.
Yeah, there
Right.
isn't.
There's no Star Wars
thin
in this.
sheen of Star Wars.
There's not a thin sheen. There's like a creamy,
They
creamy
used-
animated nougat in the middle.
It's like
Hey, you leave. No. You leave nougat out of this.
Nougat has done nothing
Yeah.
wrong.
I'm saying that's the good part. I'm arguing for the nougat, but
No association is okay with this movie.
the rest of it is like
It's like a Star Wars frame, and in the frame is a picture of something that isn't Star Wars.
And a
But
kaleidoscope.
that picture of something that isn't Star Wars has someone holding a Star Wars toy in it.
Right.
you're like I know
A
that.
bootleg like action figure you got from like the flea market.
Oh my god.
So why didn't he fall over like the movie said he was supposed to fall over?
Hey, at least we don't have the commercials. That makes it that much shorter.
No.
That's a
That
decent matte painting. I'll give it that.
that black screen was better than everything else I've seen so far.
No. Oh my god.
Why the pan up? Like they're panning up to not the room.
Right.
Filled 2 hours.
Well, I'm fine with the pan. It should just like.
Why are
pan-
they still there?
Yeah.
What
Why
is
He's
happening?
his belly button.
They just moved in. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
My
Like,
belly
you did
button itchy.
Shouldn't the pan be
Let's
like
watch
to the
Jefferson's
window?
Starship again.
Yeah.
Just
Ooh,
Hey,
I
remember
thought-
this is Star Wars?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
this Sigourney Weaver?
that's what I was just gonna say.
Hey, look, it's the orange shoulder thingies.
Yeah.
It's a rank denoter.
What?
I feel like this might be like unused footage.
I think you might be right.
Might
That
be.
seems
She just said,
probable.
also, just how fucking dystopian this is. The lady just said, let's watch life on Tatooine so that our lives might feel better comparatively.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Well, this is a lot of.
Whoa.
Oh.
Some of these costumes were from the first one, but you
Yeah.
can tell it's different footage based off of the
This is like B-roll from that didn't get used from A New Hope.
maybe. Yeah.
It's like someone snuck in and stole all the costumes for 10 minutes.
Right.
yeah.
Because, like, that guy's really getting down
This
with
is not
that.
the same set.
No.
No.
Well, maybe that's bigger
It-
than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the layout is
Honestly,
Similar,
matching
but
up.
It's not the same.
It's
It's
yeah.
matching pretty closely.
God, is this that guy again?
Yes.
Why? Go away.
Oh my god,
So just
he's wearing a windbreaker.
The wind didn't stand a chance.
just generic cranky white lady.
It's one of the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
B. Arthur?
If they somehow get Betty White into this movie, I'll I'll be happy.
What do you think the likelihood of Betty White being a lich is?
But
a lich?
Yeah.
This isn't the same set.
No, it's
close.
not.
No.
It's not. But seriously,
The
this is the
Queen.
Star Wars holiday special, and they are making kids watch an old man try to ask an old woman out on a date.
Yes. With volcano hair.
And now she's pouring ketchup for him? Nope.
Mimosas?
Pre-mixed mimosas.
They could have just brought back the blue milk.
Yeah,
Right.
that would have been easy.
Double suns and sipping blue milk.
Oh my
God.
God!
Hey,
Hey.
Hammerhead. What's his real name?
Moanadin.
It's a real what? No. Like that actually happened?
So it's
Like,
a
those
toilet.
are like the characters who have like they have a page in that Star Wars book I was telling you
Yeah.
about.
So let's talk about that Star Wars book
Okay.
because Jordan and I think had an interaction on this, or was it you and I on Twitter about the skull from Return of the Jedi
I saw it, but I didn't.
that Star Wars fans
Oh,
have named
yeah,
the
yeah.
guy
They named the guy of the
whose
skull that
skull
Luke
is
threw.
used that Luke throws to drop the door onto
Oh my
The
God.
Rancor.
the Rancor.
Yeah.
And
That-
that's what I like to call ruining things by nerds.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a part of Star Wars fandom that like I never got into, but like
That deep.
there's something about Star Wars fandom that every single thing, everything in the background, every background character, every has to have a backstory, and they have to write a complicated story about how it all fits in and fits together. It's really annoying, and it's not necessary.
Okay.
I will say that is not exclusive to Star Wars.
No, but you
No,
see
no,
it.
no, no,
You
no.
see it
But-
a lot
well,
with Star Wars.
You see it in a lot in Star Wars because everyone has a distinct look. Like, for example, in that book that we were just telling you about, there's an entry for
Hold
most
on, he's
of the
behind the bar
characters.
now. By the way,
Oh,
This is
know your bounds. Know
Yeah.
your bounds.
volcano heads only.
Volcano Head, yeah. There's an entry for most of the characters you see in Jabba's palace, but that is
he
because
just grabbed her. He is assaulting
assault.
this woman.
that is because at one point an anthology book came out called Tales from Jabba's Palace, which was
Yes.
stories about all the people who were there.
I have read
Which
that
in-
actually.
Which in context, okay, cool. Why does who are all these hanger-ons, whatever?
Yep.
For Jabba. Okay, yeah. But I feel like that's
that's
also
fine.
part of like the prequels being like, oh, we need to link up as
Yes.
much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's the background story of Boba Fett. People like Boba Fett because he was faceless. There was very little information about him, so you could make up whatever you wanted to have him be this badass guy.
This is uncomfortable.
He,
Yeah,
he
this
obviously
is-
got a lot of shine in the extended universe stuff, and he had pre-Star Wars stuff, like his name's not really Boba Fett. That was just like his name
Yeah.
he went by, but now it is his name or whatever. So, but yeah, nerds like to categorize shit. We like to make lists. We like to check things off of lists.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
But it's something I definitely have noticed, or maybe it's just because I'm
So
a
this
Star
was on
Wars
TV?
fan. Yeah. Maybe just because I'm a Star Wars fan, I've been more exposed to it than in other areas of nerddom. But I feel like it's very, very prevalent in Star Wars.
No, they
fandom.
do it with a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Sci-fi in general, I
Yeah,
believe.
does that.
So the people want to have a fully out Flesh universe. Lord of the Rings, you could argue, is just as bad.
Yeah, but half of that was actually done by Tolkien.
Yeah,
That is
Tolkien
true.
did all of that.
That's
yeah.
true.
It's different from that. I don't think it's necessarily even different. Like Tolkien doesn't, or the Lord of the Rings universe doesn't take time to be like, let's tell stories about the 4 officers of the Rohan army, like that
Right.
just happened to be on screen for a little while.
Yeah, it's like anytime like the Lord of the Rings does stuff like that, it's because that's the stuff that came first, and he wrote the story to use that.
To
stuff.
use that stuff, yeah. And although that said, did you see Netflix is apparently going to option a serialized, or Amazon is going to option a serialized Lord of the Rings show?
Really?
Yeah, that's the new hot thing the internet is mad about.
Is it just like a generic Middle Earth set show, or is it actually
Nobody
gonna
knows
be like,
what it is.
Nobody
yet.
knows
Okay.
yet.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that there's, as someone who is very familiar with the actual novels themselves.
Yeah, you took a class on Tolkien, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I couldn't take that one. Scheduling conflicts.
So, did you have a Tolkien class in college?
There was one, yeah.
Tolkien and myth is what we had. And that story was what Jordan was talking about, or that class was what Jordan was talking about, which is we will read all of the things that Tolkien cited and then go and read the Tolkien stuff so you get a lot more understanding of like where his ideas came from and why he wrote things certain ways and stuff. So it was really interesting from that aspect. But being someone who's very familiar with the novels, there are a lot of really cool stories you can't tell in a movie setting from Lord of the Rings. And a serialized setting will give you that ability to do so. So if they just take the Lord of the Rings books and cut back and take some of the Silmarillion stuff and can work with that, you could get a really interesting show out of it.
That is the one thing that I think would work in TV, is if they were going to adapt the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion would work as a TV show as opposed to movie because it's fucking long and there's a whole lot of fucking things that happen.
Well, and it spans...
There's a lot of betrayal, there's a lot of murder, there's a lot of just epic events. It's like,
Yeah,
and then
right.
the elves across the ice.
Right, and part of it with the Silmarillion is that just like you'd go with Game of Thrones is the thing that everyone keeps saying. It's going to be this, it's that.
They want it to be that.
The reason why you don't do a Game of Thrones movie is that it's a timeline aspect of what it is. Game of Thrones happens
What is
over...
happening?
What is going on?
That's
Is
what I
everyone,
was.
like, rebelling?
We've
We've-
I think
we've
fully
died-
checked
What
out.
even is this?
Yeah. So like, even if you talk about Star Wars, the 3 movies of Star Wars, the original trilogy, take place over the course of what?
7 years.
Like,
Something like that.
It's
It's-
something
it's 7
short.
years.
Yeah. So you can do those movies over it. The Silmarillion takes place over
Thousands.
thousands and thousands
Well,
of years.
It's Middle Earth
So-
Book of Genesis.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
Bible.
it's the
I mean,
Bible.
I've
And
I've
then
read
the
it.
gods sang the world into existence.
Right, and so-
blah, 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 blah.
If you're gonna do something like that, you can't do it that way because even
Oh my god!
why are we still here?
And why is she singing? I know when I was a kid, when I was in the mood for Star Wars, what I really wanted was to watch an old lady who I didn't know who she was sing a song.
And give people beer.
I mean, even as a kid, there were portions of like A New Hope where I just kind of
Tuned out for a little bit.
while.
Yeah,
Like, I want to watch them
I
shoot
tuned
things
out,
with lasers.
I tuned out a lot of Empire when I was young.
yeah. Empire's the headier of the 3. It's
Yeah.
it's the most adult.
Yeah.
But I mean, going back to it, you can't tell timelines become a big deal in stories unless you're cutting away certain pieces of time. Like, hey, this is the kid, and now the movie is about him being an adult. But you can't be like, here's a full story about him being a kid, and now let's talk about why that's important for him being an adult.
Oh, big rat.
Oh boy.
Like, okay, that doesn't fit in any of Star Wars.
It's a reject from Princess Bride.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, to this scene's credit for how nonsensical it is, most of the aliens up to this point have fit inside of the Star Wars.
Yeah. Some of them are created for the scene, but there's a lot of I recognize those shapes.
And the ones that were created still fit the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys remember how at the beginning of this they told us that there were going to be musical numbers in the Star Wars special?
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
Who's Frankenstein? Oh, that's a guy from... And they're going to go dance?
Just the moderately slow Cantina Band song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Why does that Greedo version have horrible fingers?
Well, he had long, spindly fingers in the movie.
Well, that can't be Greedo though, because this is
He's
post
that. Yeah.
A New Hope. Just like that can't be the
just
same
don't-
Hammerhead, because he'd be missing an arm.
I just don't remember what the...
Or was it the other guy?
No,
who
it's
got
the
his
other
arm-
guy
The other
whose
guy
arm
got
cut
his
off.
arm cut off.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that have been like.
Is that a Mike
changed.
Myers mask?
Yeah.
And by Mike Myers, do you mean just like
William
Captain
Shatner?
Kirk turned inside out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got some edits of the original trilogy where they tried to undo some of the stuff George Lucas did while still kind of cleaning it up a bit. You know, like the restorations and
Okay.
like to the extent of like, oh, we got a model of the Falcon so we could do some shots and stuff. And
Oh,
whatnot.
wow.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a different one. But one of the things is like they change when the guy gets his arm cut off to being like it's singed, it's not bloody because the lightsaber doesn't draw blood.
Oh yeah, because it cauterizes. Yeah.
Yeah. in a couple different versions, it's like the hand of like the tusky butt-faced guy, or it's the hand of the guy with the fucked up face. So
yeah, if you start going into fan edits and stuff, you can go down a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah,
there's one that is actually really highly recommended for if you just want to get the closest thing you can get to the theatrical cut, but in HD. It's called the despecialized edition.
Oh, that's the ones I have. Yeah.
Yeah. They're free. You go online. You can burn them to
I think they're on
Blu-ray.
YouTube.
I haven't seen them, but I've heard. I mean, I've seen the video of how they made them, the different sources they've used to piece it all together. It's very impressive.
Yeah. The probably one of the greatest fan edits I have is something called Matrix Designized, which is the second and third Matrix movies made into one movie, but they cut out all the stuff that happens in the city.
Yeah, I've heard that's really good, actually.
It's really good because it's one of those things like you hear about the city in the first movie, like, oh, there's this human enclave and whatnot, but when you have those scenes in that movie, it kind of turns it into two different films of like you have the scenes in the Matrix and you have the scenes outside.
Oh God, he's still there.
Jarring. So it's still like a 2.5 hour movie, but
So the Imperial officers are just watching a soap opera.
Yeah.
On their
Yeah.
TV.
I would say the designized version I have, it has a lot similar tone to that first movie.
What?
I've lost all comprehension of the narrative of this movie. But yeah.
Give me a smooch.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God,
Jesus.
it's back.
Itchy.
Yeah.
Dude.
So
Itchy looks like one of the Wendigo
yeah,
from
Until Dawn?
Until Dawn.
he does.
Oh my
kinda,
God, yeah, he kind of does.
So that's kind of an interesting question going back to the Matrix thing. Do you think there was more disappointment between original trilogy or prequel, or between first Matrix and second?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
More people give a shit about Star Wars than give a shit about the Matrix. I mean, the Matrix was huge in its time.
Well, that's the thing is like the Matrix, like the first one, like that was
It's-
such a highly regarded movie.
It's
it was
still
like the
great.
It was like the big sci-fi movie of the late 90s of being like, this is going to be our next kind of franchise thing. And I remember the reception for 2 was so lukewarm and people being like, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, remember that's being like okay, not oh God, what is this?
Right.
Which is what Phantom Menace.
And also, you know, by the time Phantom Menace came out, like the original trilogy had a long time to stew,
Like
and
15 years.
yeah,
Right.
and get really, you know,
Ingrained.
just
Oh,
ingrained
God,
in this
society.
public subconscious.
does she have a
Joy!
gun? Oh, she does have a. Yep, she's got a.
That's Chewie.
That's
That's
Chewie.
Chewie, man.
He's home. You can tell because he's got the porn stash.
Yeah,
Oh God. Harrison Ford's here.
yeah. Hey, remember this
Jim
is Star Wars?
Wait, did he trip over his gun?
Oh,
He tripped
How have
over
you-
his gun.
He
And
He took over his own gun. There
Did-
was a Wilhelm scream,
Wilhelm scream?
and
Yeah.
Do the guns work like Mjolnir? Does it just not move?
apparently.
It was his own gun. Should have moved. I don't know.
They're utilitarian design. They're very heavy and clubbersome.
I like that
Yeah.
the bow and arrow is still present in the new Star Wars.
The bowcaster?
Yeah.
It's an iconic weapon.
according to the Star Wars Essential Guide to
Oh,
Weapons,
Jesus
there's actually
Christ.
physical ammunition in a bowcaster, but
That's why he has the bandolier.
but it's coated in energy.
Got to get through that Durasteel armor of stormtroopers.
Things to ruin. Things to ruin.
I like the Star Wars visual guide stuff. Like I have like the cross sections of the ships and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like
That's
that.
cool.
and,
I had
like,
that when I was a kid, and I look back on it now, and I'm like, why? Just like be okay
I
with
imagine
things.
it probably influenced a lot of future aircraft or vehicle designers. You know, just being like people wanting to know how mechanical things work like that, or like for design purposes. Because for a lot of those, like
Is he about to kiss Chewie's
how
wife?
how the ships work, they're like, okay,
Please make out
a
with a
regular
Wookiee.
aircraft has this. What's the spacey version of it?
Then he walked off set and said, "Where's my check?"
Yeah.
Really? That's what they were showing up for. Oh, he's leaving. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
Chewbacca was going with him. I was like, oh wow.
Did he just give Chewbacca chin scritches?
Yeah. Destroying the evidence.
Bye-bye.
No, but I think when you have stuff like that at a younger age, I think for people who eventually become like automotive engineers, that's the kind of stuff that sticks in your head of being like of what could be.
I'm going to posit this. I think it is interesting to know how a lightsaber works. I do not think it is interesting to know where the fuel lines in an X-wing are.
Or what contractor had the contract to build X-wings for the rebellion?
So I'm going to go from a little bit different perspective on why material like that would exist in the first place. If I'm a big fan of a franchise, Star Wars, and I have the ability to just be like, hey, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to create this stuff. This is what I feel like should be the reason for why these things exist, why these things are, and how these things work, because it's fun to me. And if some publisher is going to buy it and other people are going to like it, fine, whatever. Then I'm going to do that. As an artist, I'm going to do it because I enjoy it. The world may not need it, but if I turn it into a book and people want to buy it, fine.
All right, so let me put it to you this way. The material existing is fine, sure. It exists. It is the fandom that arises out of that material that's like, if you don't know where the fuel lines on the X-Wing are, you're not a real fan.
That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, too.
I agree.
I should say that's where more of what I was trying to get to was. The nerds fill in the cracks, not because it's an interesting thing to do or because it's going to generate this idea for what you want to be when you grow up.
Right.
It's nerds fill in the cracks because it's a way for them to feel superior.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a sociopathic tendency. It's for... Go ahead, Jordan. Sorry.
Well, it's a way to facilitate the gatekeeping that people like to do.
Right, but and it's
like, you like Star Wars? Well, what's the name of the nurse who delivered Luke Skywalker?
Right. So,
trick question. It was a robot.
Right. So you're tapping into a much broader topic than is limited to just Star Wars.
Because
right.
I'll admit, like, in my forays into nerddom, I've never encountered the gatekeeper. Like, to me, or at least like in the environment that I've been in, there's never been you don't know about blank. Like, it's always been a very, very welcoming thing. I know that is probably a very much an exception to the rules. Like, these stereotypes are there because they happen.
Right.
Yep.
So it's often more subtle than that too. It's often like, oh yeah, well you like the Marvel movies, but have you ever read the comics? Like, it's really different in the comics. Like, it's okay to just like movies because they're movies. Yeah. You don't have to be a comic book fan.
Right.
Yep.
That's a very mild form.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, just the way I've thought about it, like knowing like where the X-Wing's fuel lines are or the top speed of the TIE fighter, like that never really been like, oh, I'm a better fan because I know.
Right.
That. I'm like, oh, that was really interesting and very cool to me to know that. Like I wasn't degrading people because I knew about Boba Fett's real name.
Right.
No,
sure.
Or what the name of the stormtrooper was who was like, look, sir, droids.
You just liked Boba Fett and wanted to know as much about him as you could.
Yeah, his name was Davin Felth.
Right. and I think that is a perfect example of the kind of two paths that people wind up on in that case, where one, you're learning this extra information so that you can divide yourself from others who don't and be like, look at me, that's all the shit I know. Or like in your case that you were just describing, it's just you just like the stuff so much you just want to know more.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be a dick because you know more about this thing. You just want to know more because you like it. And hey, you're going to share this information with other people who like it and may want to know as well.
Yeah, like this is also like very, very early internet years before Wikipedia or Wikipedia.
Yep. What is happening with the snow globes?
Life Day shit.
Yeah. So the other side of it to this is that I get the wanting to know more, but I also think that you lose some of the magic of a universe with the more you fill in the cracks.
True. It's sort of like, that's why I'm not particularly excited about the Han Solo prequel.
The more things become codified and the more things become
explained
hard.
and clear, right?
Yeah, explained and clear. You lose some of the
the magic,
the
mystery,
the mystery and interest of things. I mean, it's the Prestige talks about it.
Yeah.
The moment
look at this.
this is
what the hell? The moment you know
weird cult stuff.
the moment you know how the trick works,
Right.
they don't care about you anymore.
Right, exactly. And that's again one.
Well, no, I think that also might be a way of how you experience that things. Like reading all of these things, like here's the story of Grand Admiral Thrawn, or Han Solo.
Please be over. Please be over. Fuck.
God.
What?
We are in a weird 70s cult movie now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reading about those things is one thing because
These
you're
Wookiees
still
are about to
using
bone
your
down.
mind to depict what those scenes were. Seeing them visually, I think, is really what takes away the magic for me. Like, I will admit, I'm not interested in the Han Solo movie. I think it's cool that it exists, but it's a story I'm like, I don't need
I'm not
to
excited
see,
for it.
I don't need
Right.
to see early 20s Han Solo
Okay.
get the Millennium Falcon.
I'm going to interrupt you. Hold on. I don't think he's actually wearing the Chewbacca outfit underneath.
No.
Yeah, he's just got the the mask on.
Absolutely not.
Just Peter Mayhew in a Chewie mask.
Slim.
He was like, "Fuck it, put a robe on me. I'm done. I'm
This
not
is
He's
Hey,
wearing
fucking
slippers and a
ridiculous.
mask.
No, what I want to see in live action footage, I want to see the wiggly R2D2 now. Don't tease me with that shit in the
Yeah.
animation.
Yeah.
It's quick aside. Funny Peter Mayhew story. I was browsing Reddit one day, and there was an Ask Reddit thread. What is a movie quote that you shouldn't bust out during sex? And the top comment was actually made by Peter Mayhew, and his answer was, "Get in there, you big hairy oaf. I don't care what you smell."
That's amazing.
I like how his cane is a lightsaber.
I love that as well.
All right. So I'm going to go just real quick back to what you were talking about, James. Explaining too much of a thing and removing some of the mystique and kind of the magicness of things. So one of my biggest problems and examples of that is the Silent Hill series, which I truly love dearly. But the subsequent entries in that series, they try to explain more and more of the town's history and more of like, oh, this is all this backstory that we're putting together, and it really starts to detract from, at least for me and a lot of other people, it seems, the sheer terror of not knowing why this shit is the way it is.
Right. So
Is anyone else seeing this?
Carrie Fisher's now singing the Life Day song. Is that what's going on?
R.I.P.
Yep.
Miss Fisher. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pour
one out
it's
for Carrie
weird.
Fisher.
It's a fine balance of like loving something or wanting to know something because you love a property, and it helps you better grasp the extent of the scope of the universe. Like one of my big beefs with sci-fi is they only like in general sci-fi stories or on Star Wars. Star Wars is very, very guilty of this. They go to a planet, something happens at one individual location on a planet, and there's a whole other planet of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they're on Tatooine, and they're at Mos Eisley, and you can see like in the when the ships are flying away, there's a whole other thing going on, which is just this. Why you can say like, oh, here's are all these other stories that are happening and whatnot, and it's one thing to love it because or want to love it because you want to fill the blanks in because you love something. It's another thing to fill in those blanks to feel superior, like you're saying. So it's about the tendency. I love Twin Peaks. I love Twin Peaks to the extent that I have a tattoo of Twin Peaks on my arm.
It's in my list.
A book just came out called The Final Dossier. There's 25 years between the original series and the one that just came out. A lot of the characters from the original series aren't there anymore, or 25 years, a lot has happened since then. This book is kind of like, here's what happened to this character who you saw at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
They had a very ambiguous ending.
Yeah. Not to cut you off, but apparently John Williams is still getting royalties from this.
Oh, gosh, he will until he dies.
I wasn't expecting to
going
hear
on?
any actual Star Wars music in this. Yeah, I think what it comes down to is different people love different things in different ways and for different reasons. Like, two people can both be huge Star Wars fans, and the things that they like about it, there might be zero overlap.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
And that's why, to back up for a second, that is what rubs me most the wrong way about gatekeeping, and it happens more to women than it does to men, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it's just, for anyone listening, if you're a nerd, if you like something, that's awesome.
Don't be a dick about it.
Let other people like it. They
In the
don't.
way
They
that
don't.
they
They don't
choose.
owe you anything. They don't have to prove that they're a fan, because people liking shit is cool whether or not they like it for the same reasons as you. The only thing
Word.
that happens is more stuff gets made for you to like. So just be cool about it.
Yeah. So I'll go to Rogue One there, just for a specific instance.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a friend about Rogue One. She did not like how there was no Star Wars opening crawl. She was like, "What the fuck is this?" There was no ba-da-da. Like there was no John Williams fanfare crawl and whatnot, And she had said to me, like, when she saw Force Awakens, like, that was a big thing for her. Just like, I think it might have been her first time seeing a Star Wars movie in the theater.
Okay.
And she felt kind of like cheated that it wasn't in Rogue One. While I was very much surprised, and the reason I love that movie so much is because it's different.
Yeah.
Of the 7 other movies, it stands aside because there's like, there's very little Jedi.
Right.
It's a good sci-fi
It's not
story.
about space wizards.
It's not about
right.
space
It's very different while not feeling out of place.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's much more. It's much less standalone than they wanted you to believe. With all the marketing.
Yeah.
Like it straight up ties into Episode 4, but I liked the choice of not doing an opening crawl because it's not one of the episodes.
Yeah, and
it's a separate thing, and it still worked. It still had a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, so it's a little familiar.
Yeah.
But then it's just jump, big orchestra hit.
Right.
You cut to something new.
Like I remember I was startled. Like I remember me and James saw it in the theater. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was expecting it. I thought I had heard.
Now we've got
there
a
was no
model.
crawl.
So do you want my
Wait,
perfect
is it a
example
model?
of when
I can't
filling
tell.
things in go wrong?
Yeah.
Sure.
Midi-chlorians.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Perfect.
God,
That
yeah.
speaks to what you're talking about, Ryan, and that's kind of where I'm trying to get to with my point, is that the more you explain things, the more you have to keep coming up with just more expansive reasons why stuff exists.
You have to keep justifying.
The more you
Stop
explain, the
justifying.
more you
Right.
have to explain.
You don't need that, because like for Silent
It's
Hill,
over.
when you're talking about it, my greatest fear for
Oh, this is the best part so far.
for Stranger Things is that they're going to get to that point. Like, we don't need to know why the Upside Down exists. We don't
Right.
need to,
Yeah.
and I'm terrified they're going to get there.
Yeah.
Like, if it just exists and there's bad things and it's a reflection of this universe, then that's okay. We're
Right.
good.
I don't need more
Yeah.
than that.
We don't need
Yep.
more than that. But there's going to be sets or groups of people out there that want to know everything about this and what this is and where do the vines come from and how that you ruin the idea of what that is when that comes to it.
Yeah,
Right,
And
and
with Stranger Things, the thing they're fighting against too, and to be fair, I finished season 2. I loved it.
I have 3 left, so
It's very different from season 1. The thing that they're fighting against that makes it so different is that season 1 not only had a great plot and great characters, but it also was new. So there was this sense of discovery with every episode.
Right.
Yep.
And now it's all established. So it's cool because you already know the universe and now you just get to play in it a little bit. But I'm afraid that they're going to try to keep pushing that sense of discovery, like you're saying, and it's going to cause them to overdo it.
Yeah.
Just let it be its own thing and don't dig too deep, because the more you explain, the more you end up having to explain later.
Right. Well, I mean, that's where you get into stuff where, like, well, where does the magic come from? You know,
Right.
in Lord of the Rings, it's just like
it's
It's
just
magic.
It's magic.
he made a Bible, and it's still just magic.
Right.
You don't have to come down on these things and talk about like mana pools and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
let it. Certain things just are.
And like it's like just to, and I don't mean to cut you off.
That's fine.
Just to
No
piggyback
cost
on
no
this
whiskey.
whole the the more you know, the more it takes away from. Like, you don't have to know everything to enjoy it. Like, you don't have to know that in Lord of the Rings, we tend to think of, D&D or whatever fantasy, we tend to think of wizard as a class. In Lord of the Rings, wizard is a race, right?
Yeah, Gandalf's
Wizards,
like an angel.
they're
Gandalf's an
basically
angel.
angels.
Yeah.
You don't have to know that to like Gandalf as a character or like the story of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
No.
If you know it, it's kind of cool. It makes you go, oh, he's even more of a badass than I knew he was. But you don't need to know that to appreciate the story. And that's where I think Lord of the Rings is a little different, because he made all this stuff up, but it's not shoehorned into everything. It's there somewhere else if you want to find it. And it came first. It wasn't after the fact.
It came for. Yeah, I mean, I'm more of like trying to talk about who people are, what things are. Like, I mean, if someone wants to name the guy who says, "Look, sir, droids," like whatever.
Yeah.
That's not who cares. Like, it's a guy, right?
Yeah.
But when all of a
It's
sudden
a story about a stormtrooper. There aren't any of those.
Yeah, he's around. But when you start getting into things like, how why Darth Vader selected his castle because on this planet because it's a ley lines of force powers, and like you keep creating these more and more convoluted, like you said, Ryan. You have to continue to justify why things exist.
And you keep it's again, we're getting into some very deep conversations here on this podcast today, but it's like in real life, if you tell a big lie to somebody
Yeah.
that's important to you, you have to
Right.
support that lie forever.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it just you keep burying yourself in
Right.
problems.
And I mean, Star Wars had to come around and do that on midi-chlorians. They're like, well, actually, midi-chlorians don't give you the Force. They're just a measurement of what
It's
of
so
How
dumb.
susceptible to the Force someone is.
They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Fine.
To me,
yeah.
the analogy for the fucking midichlorians thing, and I was very upset when they did that. To me, it was like everyone in the Star Wars universe at that point had put on the fucking power meter sensor from Dragon Ball. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you've got 9,000.
Yeah.
Oh, but this guy's got
Midichlorian
20,000."
Yeah.
Hashtag I love Dragon Ball, but no, just fucking don't do that in Star Wars. It's so
Yeah.
dumb.
You don't. You know, if you're gonna make a story where it's like science is so powerful it's like magic, then just let it be.
Right.
Don't start, using quantum this and X that. Like,
So
Star Trek has a place for that. I will say that. I like Star Trek, and I like that Star Trek really goes out of its way to try to explain how things work.
But that's what Star Trek
But that's
is.
what Star Trek
and
is.
that's what I
hard. Well,
Right.
there's
That's
the
hard.
whole argument that Star Wars isn't sci-fi. It's
not, it's
space.
fantasy.
It's space
Fantasy.
fantasy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because it has magic in it.
right.
100%.
Force is magic.
Right. If
Right.
you make a property,
I will die on that hill.
Yeah, right. If you make a property that is inherently grounded in explanation, then I understand that happening.
Right.
If you make a property where mystery and expansiveness and the unknown is part of that property, and then you spend
part
the
of
next
the appeal of that
15
property?
years explaining away all of that, you lose what that property originally was.
yeah, and
You're
that-
doing the IP a disservice.
You can tell stories inside of a mysterious property without explaining the mystery.
right. And
Okay,
what I keep trying to interject.
That is what the Twin
and
Peaks
failing.
supplemental stuff is. It hints at, like, they're telling stories within the property without explaining the unexplainable parts of it. All the stuff that's been published in the supplemental books and materials, the diary of Laura Palmer, the tapes of Dale Cooper, it's all about it's stories about characters you already know. Unnatural things happen, but the unnatural things aren't explained, or they're only suggested at.
And that I am
Like-
completely cool with that.
Yeah, and that is why I'm like, sure, give me this dossier about how the creepy ring from Twin Peaks has passed down from the 1870s to Nixon to whomever. Because it's just like, it's such weird ass fucking thing. They don't explain what it is, why
Yeah.
it is what it is. It just is like, it makes the mystery bigger and it makes the world feel bigger, but without categorizing everything, really.
Yeah.
They do hints, like, and the hints allow you to fill in things with your mind because it's,
But they're not telling you those things. You're making inferences.
yeah, you
about
make
stuff.
your own yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people love everything they love.
Okay.
People like Batman storylines or Spider-Man or fantasy stories, sci-fi stories, because they can fill in what's not on the page.
Yeah.
Like when a character shows up unexpectedly at scene X after being gone. It's like, ooh, how did they get there?
And what have
I
they
don't
been
need
doing?
to know how they got there,
Right.
but I like to imagine how they infiltrated the base or whatever.
So not to derail the more in-depth conversation, but okay.
This is not where I expected this podcast.
done.
to go.
Star Wars Holiday Special recap. For me, it's really clear now to see why people are so quick to dismiss it, because it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, there's no Star Wars.
There was
in
almost
this
no
thing.
Star Wars in that entire
No.
thing.
The animated sequence is the only pseudo
Yeah, that
Star
was-
Wars thing.
Yeah,
It
that
a
was
trip.
weirdly the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think it's mostly just because of the style of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was intriguing. But the rest of it is just watching Wookiees do chores and watch space porn and
Spacebar.
Well, and I mean, they in the animation sequence, they actually go on an adventure.
yeah.
Like they're like
They're doing something other than straightening up their bedrooms.
Yeah, like they go do something. I mean, even if this was a boring Star Wars story, I think it would be redeemable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked about this before, about how one of the things like the Marvel movies have going for them now is that even if they make one that's a little less interesting, they've spent so much time making them and building it up that you still care about the characters. So you're still like, okay, I'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
This was just a completely different kind of boring, and Itchy, Lumpy, whatever the mom's name was. I don't give a shit about these Wookiees.
Oh, right.
I don't even know what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch them do chores.
Or watch them watch other things.
Yeah. I knew... Everyone knows that the Star Wars Holiday Special is bad. Like, everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that it was so boring. That was what I didn't know. I thought it was just poorly done.
Poorly made.
It was poorly made.
A bunch of shoe-ins
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
It was poorly made and boring. And that... Ugh.
Yikes.
And usually, for this podcast, the biggest sin is movies boring.
Right.
We'll watch shit. We'll watch utter shit as long as it's entertaining.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if it's boring, then why bother?
Well, that's why you guys haven't done, if I'm not mistaken, that's why you guys didn't do the Ninth Gate, right? Because it was just kind
Max
of...
likes that movie,
love
but
both.
Ryan and I both find it incredibly
There's
boring.
continued
it is-
discussion regarding that film.
Yeah, like, I enjoy that movie because it's a slow burn. It's like a film noir. It's a slow, like they even toy with that at the beginning of the movie. It's like,
Max.
it is a long movie.
To be fair...
It is like 2 hours
That
long.
was also our discussion, to interrupt you real quick, Ryan. That was also a discussion that Max and I had after watching Blade Runner 2049, which is that I like that movie. I think that the topics it addresses, the way that it addresses a similar question to the first movie that is related but not the same, is really, really interesting. It's also like 2.5 hours of the guy from The Notebook walking slowly around foggy zones and it going every once in a while in the background with
That's
music.
it. Hans Zimmer. What do you expect?
To be fair to the Ninth Gate, I have not seen it in a very long time.
Yeah, it's probably when you and I watched it, wasn't it?
We
Like in high
we were
school?
all watching it and,
Yeah.
and making fun of it.
Yeah.
We probably weren't ready for a movie that
Right.
slow of a burn, so maybe it's good.
And-
I haven't seen it.
and
but
there was a good chance-
I remember it being boring.
Yeah, and there was a good chance it was really late at night and we were subsisting off of literally junk food and more junk food
I believe
on
that.
top of
I
other
believe
junk
that.
food.
I mean, like Ninth Gate has its like silliness to it as well, which just it's kind of very jarring to like the tone it's going for.
Yeah.
Of when like the girl flies down a la Kruppendorfer Hidden Dragon to like kung fu some guys on the canals of Paris.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just it's a guy investigating books. It's not an exciting film to watch.
No.
It's just an interesting kind of story.
We
'cause
should
you're
s-
like, ooh, what's going on here? And I like those kind of stories. I like the mystery. I mean, if the mystery or the plot is interesting to me, I'll invest the time in it. But if it's not, like if it's just boring like this,
Right.
like then I don't want to spend the time.
Right.
Like I'll watch the Ninth Gate again to give it a chance. Like
I have it on DVD.
here's another example of a movie I didn't particularly care for, but I'm not going to boycott it for life. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It just didn't hit the buttons for me. I think it's one of my least favorite Marvel movies. But if in the future I'm like, you know what, I'm going to watch through the MCU start to finish.
Right.
I'm not going to
You're not
skip
going
it.
to skip it.
Right.
Certainly.
This I will never watch again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So Max, what I was kind of getting at earlier, we should set up a mandate and watch the Ninth Gate. We should have a
Sure.
Ninth Gate night.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Ninth Gate
Some
date?
booze,
Ninth Gate
yeah,
date.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Anyway,
And it's also one of I would say Johnny Depp's last like subdued performances. He's not in
Yeah.
the full on.
he's not in Jack Sparrow mode.
He's not playing Jack
craziness.
Sparrow
For everything.
anymore.
He's just playing like I'm a shifty book dealer guy.
You know what's going to be interesting now is Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah,
he's not
playing
going to
the
be able to
criminal.
play Jack Sparrow. I wonder.
From the trailer, it still seemed like he's going to be playing like I'm a big eccentric
Sure.
criminal guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
But I-
expecting the bizarreness of his recent roles.
I think Kenneth Branagh is pretty good at what he does.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to see how that's going to shake out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see it. It's got a pretty decent cast.
Yeah, I was surprised by just there's some quality actors in it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the stories. I don't have. I mean,
Everyone
I understand
everyone knows
what
the
it is. Like, oh,
basics. There's a murder on a train. Yeah.
But I haven't seen any previous adaptations of it.
Me
I don't
either.
have
I haven't
a-
I haven't read the book. I haven't seen the
exactly
previous
yeah.
version.
So I've got no basis for being like, oh, it was better in the 19 blah 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 blah
Right.
version.
So speaking of movies that are involve trains that are good, Snowpiercer was great,
Yep,
and I've heard that
Snowpiercer's
Train to
great.
Busan's pretty good.
I have not seen
yeah,
Snowpiercer.
I enjoyed Train to Busan.
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be really good.
It's good.
Good zombie film.
I enjoy it. It's not gonna do anything new.
No,
Don't go in expecting something new. It's just a solid zombie
The
film.
only thing new about Train to Busan is the setting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a train.
Yeah. It's entirely on a train. It's not just like, oh, remember the train scene from this movie? It's like that's the entire movie. So
Resident Evil 0 was on a train too, Max. So it's not new. You're wrong.
From a movie.
Wrong.
But there weren't any zombies on that part of the movie.
Anyway,
he's just being difficult.
I know.
He's cranky because he didn't have whiskey.
Hey,
No,
I beat the game without dying.
I'm good with that.
That is the one thing I don't gatekeep on that, but that's the one thing I like to brag about when it comes to video games is being a Resident Evil game without dying.
You have to get some of the unlocks in the earlier games, right?
Yep, probably.
Remember when we were straight up convinced that you could unlock Akuma in the first Resident Evil because I think it was PSM put it in there as an April Fool's prank.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of trains,
unfortunate.
let's get this podcast back on the rails.
We're waiting on it.
We didn't.
Okay,
I mean, to be fair, we didn't have much of any rails really for most of it.
I knew this.
No,
this
very similar to the Star Wars holiday special. There's very little Star Wars in this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, I coming into this. Like, I had seen scenes from it. I had never sat down and watch it, but I knew it was going to go off the rails of, like, what can we talk about to fill this time? Yeah. And I'm happy with how this turned out.
Yes, if you followed along at home, hopefully you weren't expecting a ton of in-depth conversation about B. Arthur singing.
Right.
But
hopefully you got some good conversation about
fandom,
nerddom, love of properties. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, a brief 3 seconds about how great this whiskey is from Traverse City.
Yeah, it is quite good. I've just been drinking it straight.
Yeah, it's basically if I'm understanding it correctly from how it tastes and the label, it's a mashup, mash pun intended, of like a Islay style Scotch, a little smoky, a little peaty, and like an American rye. And so if that sounds intriguing to you, you should definitely give it a try. Try and track down a bottle wherever you're from.
So good.
Which distillery was this again, Ryan?
The Grand Traverse Distillery.
Okay, I've had a couple other things by them, and I've always been happy with their products.
Yeah, their regular whiskey is real good as well. And
they actually make a cherry whiskey, which I don't find too cloyingly sweet in comparison with some other brands. Jim Beam makes a cherry whiskey, but it's too cough syrupy.
Yeah, that's my number. Like, I find most cherry flavored, whether it be beer or liquor, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the ones that get popular are really sweet.
Yeah.
And really cherry.
Yeah. I also tried the cherry whiskey from Grand Traverse Distillery, and I didn't like it at all. But in general,
in comparison to this, it's not very good.
I don't like cherry. Period. So there's that.
And why you guys didn't like the philosophers?
Everything I've tried from Grand Traverse Distillery has been very, very good.
I like Three Philosophers. I think it's pretty damn good.
It's
very winey. I mean, it's quad, right?
It's a quad with Creek, which is like a cherry liqueur thing from Belgium. So, looking forward to aging a bottle of that when I get in the bottle.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. We're not gonna do View Again, Brew Again.
Well,
View Again, no.
Yeah, no's all
again,
around.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hope you guys enjoy Star Wars Last Jedi. We'll see you guys next time. Jordan, thank you again for coming along.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes.
Happy to be on for a third time.
Yeah. All right. Please, as
Hope
always,
to be back soon.
Yeah.
Watch and drink responsibly.
See you.
But.